Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to Virology on the Omnibus.
Oh, God, no!
I am your host, Jay. I'm kidding. Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus.
Are you?
I was about to say, why did we let him back on the bus?
I have multiple personalities living within my tiny, tiny brain.
There you go.
Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. I am your host this evening, Jody Kite.
I am Ethan Skinner.
I am James. Oh, what?
I said I'm a passenger.
I thought you said you were a house of jerky.
No.
There is a house in New Orleans that they call the Jerky Son.
Yeah, I knew that was happening. I love it.
I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Brady Davis.
Welcome to Ethan's House of Jerky.
Yeah.
That's got to be a segment at some point. We've talked about it enough.
One day, if we ever have like video stuff, we'll do like
If you're
a fly
not
on
jerking it like Ethan, you're not jerking it hard enough.
Public jerking with Ethan Skinner.
I feel like I would be put on a list if I did that.
You're in chats with us. You're already on a list.
Don't tell him that yet.
Be careful.
He's called the Patsy for
Just
a
getting
reason.
on a list with us because we're in chats with Eddie gets you on a list.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works.
We have to have Eddie on as a special guest one day.
Oh God,
that'd be great.
You would have to cut so much.
All of it.
No, that would be the one where it's like, I don't care if we're all canceled. We're done. Game's over.
Yeah, we've done 50 plus
that
episodes.
episode
Why
is-
not?
We had a good run.
Yeah. Throw it to the wind.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, okay. Well, right now I'm kind of like munching on some chicken and seafood gumbo.
All right, so that's what Ethan's been up to.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
No, I got a really good good deal on some like wireless JBL earbuds at Marshall's, and they're normally like $90, $110. I got them for $40 at Marshall's.
Okay.
That is a steal.
That I'm very happy with them. They're pretty good. And also, we got fucked over by Airbnb.
Yep, they'll do that to you.
So, here pretty soon, me and Bianca were going over to Atlanta for a Taylor Swift concert, and we had booked an Airbnb like in like October, November
Of last year.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Just in case you think we're time travelers.
And we're getting ready. We're getting all of our stuff together, make sure we're prepared. And the host of the house canceled our booking, and they're like, "I'm sorry to do this to you. I will refund your money in full." I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's expected." And so Bianca was looking at other places to book, and we found a place, and the renter said, "Okay, we're going to process your payment in 3 to 4 days." Okay, so that way we could have time to get the money back in her account because the card's in her name. Instead, they went ahead and charged. They went ahead and charged the booking immediately. So it fucked over her
bank account.
Oh man!
While the money is still pending
Jeez.
for her credit card.
Oh.
Yeah, and so thankfully she got the money today.
Good.
And so
okay.
everything's squared away.
Because we were about to burn down Atlanta.
Yeah.
We were about to Sherman's
yeah.
March, the sequel.
Okay.
Well, I'm all about saying fuck Airbnb. They have there's a lot of problems that they have caused. But that's with like the whole gig economy thing too. It's all just a symptom of that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get off my fuck capitalism soapbox.
But thankfully we have a house or someplace we're staying over there, so that's all squared away. And so,
yeah. Hopefully they don't pull out any like bullshit rules or extra. What they like to do, you need to watch out for. They like to add a lot of like fees to where like, oh, it's only this much a month a day, but like there's so much cleaning fee and there's a key fee and there's this fee and there's a that fee.
You use the towel, so we got to charge you $10.
Yeah.
From what
the more like you use the towel, we're gonna charge you $75.
Oh yeah.
From what me and her were looking at, like the entire payment was all up front, so that included like the after cleaning,
Okay.
the usage of like the like washer and dryer
Mhm.
Okay.
dishes.
Well,
and
that's-
whatnot.
If they're up front like that, that's cool. Then
Yeah, that's good. I just know like one of the things with Airbnb, you have to be very careful because they'll throw in those little fees
Now,
here and there.
I know not a lot of places do that, but the one we found was all up front.
Yeah,
That's
that's good.
good.
That's good.
So,
That's
yeah.
good news.
What else?
Good news.
Is that it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna munch on some gumbo.
All right, you munch away. Jay, what you been up to?
I don't have any gumbo, so I'm kind of mad right now. Like not just kind of, I am mad. I'm just it's like if gumbo's around, I'm not having it. I ain't having it. That's just the way it is. Not a whole lot this week. Got done with the edit on Tuesday morning, which is pretty cool. I've been reading a lot up on Warhammer 40K's Wrath and Glory, the RPG system for the 40K system. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm glad that it's very lore heavy. Again, story first, role playing is the way
That seems to be
go.
like, a good pull for that world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with that. It's amazing. I like the idea that a rogue trader, which think of rogue traders the way you would think of like a long time ago, like people who had charters to the New World, and like you go out exploring, they pretty much have like they can settle and colonize whatever they want there. Well, a rogue trader is able to break through what is known as the Cicatrix Maledictum, which is just a long way to say a rip in reality that's torn the galaxy in half. And he was able to basically save the sector with food and supplies. So they made him their leader, and that's the opening of it. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. That's
So I'm digging it right now. It's called the Gilead system.
No, okay.
So
okay.
is there no balm in Gilead? We will find out. That's a that's a poetic reference right there. April is the cruelest month.
It can be.
There you go. And that's all I got from me.
All right, Brady, how about you, man?
Yeah, a few things. 2 shows that I've been watching for a pretty good while are actually started their final seasons this past week. One of them on HBO, a show called Barry. I think it's a very underrated show.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's
It's Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, yeah.
He's like a hitman, and he like is getting like very disillusioned with being a hitman. He's not very well adjusted. Like he was an ex-soldier. So he ends up in LA and he ends up in this acting class, and he starts taking this acting class because he starts getting some fulfillment from this, but he's also still like weirdly not adjusting to things. Like he's just an off guy, and things just keep kind of spiraling. It's a really good show, really funny show. Some of the side characters are great.
Isn't Henry Winkler in that show too?
Yeah, Henry Winkler's in that. Stephen Root's in that show.
Henry Winkler's won the Emmy for that, hasn't he?
I think he won an Emmy for that. He's the kind of washed up actor, over the hill actor who runs the acting course. He's really, really good in that. Everybody's really, really good in it. Like I said, Stephen Root's in it. But yeah, it's a really good, and I think it's kind of underrated. With like on the internet, it's well known, but like in like I don't think as many people watch it as normally. But it's in its final season, and they're like all the seasons are like 30-minute episodes, so it actually goes by pretty quick. So I definitely recommend people to watch that one. The other one is on Amazon. This is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It takes place starting out in the 1950s. This lady, Midge Maisel, she's a housewife, and she finds out that her husband is cheating on her. So she kind of gets disillusioned and starts actually on a path to become a comedian, a stand-up comedian. She actually, like Lenny Bruce is a character all throughout. Like he's in there a lot. So it's kind of going through her struggles of trying to become like a famous comedian. And since final season, both of the shows that starting out, they're really the new season is so far pretty good. There's been 2 episodes of Barry and 3 episodes of Mrs. Maisel. But the Mrs. Maisel is really good. Like the dialogue is very snappy. Like if you like quick-witted dialogue, it's really good. Tony Shalhoub's in this one. Like he's great in it because he's Midge's dad. It's a very, very Jewish show because she's a Jewish woman. So like
Gotcha.
it's very, very Jewish.
Where's it set in again?
New York in the 1950s. Starting out in the 1950s. This
Gotcha.
newest season goes like it's start of the 60s. But it's really, really interesting. Alex Borstein is also in it. She's really great. So yeah, if those sound interesting, definitely check those out because they're really, really good shows. I've enjoyed all the seasons of Barry, all the seasons of Mrs. Maisel.
Right.
I watched a movie that's related to our last episode because there's this podcast series that I'll listen to where they talk about trilogies. And they had previously done the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, and they swung in the opposite direction, and now they're doing the Vengeance trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So I finally, got around to rewatching Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, which is the first movie in the Vengeance trilogy, which includes previous episode Old Boy. It's a really, really good movie. It is far and away, it's been a while since I've watched Lady Vengeance. It is the bleakest of the three movies. It is absolutely bleak. Don't look for anybody to get any kind of happy ending or anything.
Right.
Like it is. If you thought Old Boy was bleak, no, hold your horses. Hold your horses. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is very bleak. This one stars Song Kang-ho, who is like we said last, he's the dad in Parasite. He's he's in damn near every Korean movie.
Right.
And he's one of the main characters. The other character, I don't know the guy's name, but he plays this deaf mute Ryu who has a sister who needs a new kidney, and they can't find a donor. So what he does is he gets a hold of these organ dealers and he says, okay, if I give you my life savings and you take one of my kidneys, then you find my sister a kidney. Okay. And then they just fuck him over and steal his kidney and leave him naked in a warehouse. And then things go down from there. So what he decides to do with his anarchist girlfriend is kidnap this rich guy's daughter and get the money, which ends up being in today's money like $10,000, like $20,000 is what they basically ask for. Okay. Like this is like they only need like $8,000 to get the kidney. Like it's and just things keep going. Like everything bad just keeps happening and everybody gets the worst possible consequences for anything. And like it's a brutal movie. It's not as explicit. Like there's a lot of stuff where it happens off screen. But when they do hit you with like the brutality, like it's
real.
But yeah, it's really, really good. I actually liked it more than when I first watched it. Because when I first watched it, I was expecting Old Boy and I didn't get Old Boy.
Right.
It's very different. It's not as it's slower and it's a lot more. It's not as loud of a movie as Old Boy, but it's very, very good. The performances are great. It's just, man, you are not going to feel good when you finish it. It is a bleak ass movie. And I'm eventually going to rewatch Lady Vengeance, but I'm going to wait for that. And then the last thing that I did was we've been talking for quite some time about, hey, we need to do something with like a card game. Now, I don't like Magic. I don't like Pokemon. I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that. But one thing that I do like is Netrunner. So I decided, hey, let me start doing some research about making a draft cube for Netrunner. So I've been doing that for a little while. I'm gonna hold off. Actually, I've got a lot of like lists and things because that's what I'm gonna start off doing. And then as I get back into, okay, yeah, I remember what this card does and this card does and everything, I can actually like start like adjust the cube as necessary with the cards that we would probably prefer. But yeah, it's something that's very interesting because I think like having something like that would be good, even though Android Netrunner is a dead game. Like it would give us something to do. Having that and being able to just, hey, let's break this out and let's do a draft and play some games. So that's something else that I'm working on. I'm probably not going to actually start building it until I get these two miniatures that I got from Jay and Holder to paint, because that's still they're sitting on my shelf. But I am eventually going to get that worked on, and then that's something I'm looking forward to.
Awesome.
Sick.
Mm-hmm. Hey, me, what have you been up to? Oh, well,
I would have preferred if you go, hello, me, it's the real me.
Hello, me, it's the real me. Well, I've been watching a lot of stuff lately, trying to get caught up on a bunch of stuff. So I watched Wakanda Forever. And
nice.
I can see where it's kind of like sort of divisive as a movie, because it feels like they're trying to do too many things at once here. They're trying to do two stories at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is like all for like Namor. That actor was great playing Namor.
God, yeah, he's
that's
great.
really good. And like, so you have like, on the one side there's the emotional side of things, which is like real life Chadwick Boseman. T'Challa. They write his character out because the real life actor unfortunately passed away. And then like you can feel the weight of that at the beginning of the movie. Like there's a lot of heavy weight to everything that's going. And it just feels like at some point it kind of goes off the rails a little bit because
I can see that.
his sister, I cannot remember the character's name.
Shuri.
Shuri. Her character seems to kind of like just, all of a sudden, well, I mean, it's understandable from what happens, I guess, but just completely breaks down and snaps.
Yeah.
I do like I'm outside of like the actual comic book influence that they've rewritten over the years. Like, originally Namor was not part of the Mayan Aztec sort of like lineage that they kind of, got to when they started rewriting some of these stories later on. I assume that's what they did, at least a little. I don't know if how much they fabricated for the movie.
I think they might have like come back to like because in the comics it's just he's ruler of Atlantis,
right? It's just Atlantis. There is no Mesoamerican influence there.
I think that was mostly added by the movie
for the movie.
Yeah.
Well, it felt. I liked what they did with it. It felt legitimate. How they.
It's an interesting way to take it, and it also sets it apart from Aquaman, which is already done Atlantis.
Right. Right.
Like you can't just do fish people and crabs hitting drums and shit again.
Yeah, because to be fair, that is one of the few things DC has gotten out before Marvel did. That version of Atlantis.
Another problem that the movie suffers, unfortunately, is how good the first movie was.
Yeah.
And it's terrible that like human tragedy happens. But even so, I don't know how, a second Black Panther movie would have done regardless. But, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's passable. It's better than most what Marvel has done recently, especially compared to the measuring stick of what they've done after Endgame.
Yeah.
So on Brady's recommendation, I started watching the Showtime show Yellow Jackets. I'm 6 episodes in. That show is fucking cool as shit.
It's a really good show.
They basically, not really a spoiler because the trailer kind of gives away somewhat of what's happening. It's set in the mid 90s. There's a lot of music that reflects that, which is I thought that was a really cool choice on the soundtrack. You have a soccer team. They win. They're going to nationals, and then their plane goes down. And then you flash forward before that even happens to present day with the people that survived, and it's like a dual story of what went down in the mid 90s after the plane went down to what's happening with the people that survived.
Yeah.
And there's they're like having conversations about it's like this can't get out. What happened? What happened can't get out. And it's just like, oh my God, what happened? And the trailer, you're kind of like, looks like some dark shit happened.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait till we get to the dark shit that happens.
Yeah, they go off the rails.
Right.
Yeah, I've only caught clips, but one of my favorite TV series of all time is Lost.
Right.
And this to me feels like a Lost that has its plot plotted out.
Yeah.
As opposed to
that's the issue with a mystery box is if you have it pretty clearly plotted out, then it can make sense. But if you're just kind of making shit up as it goes, that's when you lose it. So
it also felt like at first, the first couple episodes, like a Lord of the Flies situation in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, not quite, but
yeah. Well, you can't do
formulaic
younger people trapped alone somewhere in the wilderness, in some kind of wilderness, without having some kind of like comparison with that.
Right.
That's one of those things that kind of broke that idea, is that because everything's just going to feel like that.
And so besides that, I went to one more movie I'm going to mention here. I went with my kid to go see Renfield. And if you want my full analogy of that movie, you can check it out on Fearology, because that's the latest episode I just dropped.
Mega plug.
Plugception.
It subverted my expectations, which I had negative expectations going into it.
Okay.
I didn't think it was going to be. I thought I was going to go into it and be like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this movie ironically. I already understand. Of course, they have to have something else going on as far as the subplot goes. And that could make or break it for you, depending on how you're into the story or whatever. Of course, anytime Nick Cage is on screen, it's fucking immaculate.
Yeah.
It's like it took the character from Vampire's Kiss and he turned him into an actual vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Whatever you would say about Nicolas Cage always understands the assignment. He always knows what he's supposed to be doing in these movies, whether it's one of these shitty like movies that he just got paid $1 million to be there for 3 days, or if it's something like this where he is super campy Dracula.
So after the movie, went to Target and looked around for a little bit and bought a couple of things. I'm actually going to show you. We might actually have to put some of this stuff on Instagram.
Oh hell!
It's show and tell up in here.
The Uzumaki coloring book.
What the fuck?
So take a look at that.
What the actual shit?
We need to give that to children.
That is, it's basically just like a blown up version of the manga.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's just, that's all it is.
Right. It's good stuff. Junji Ito artwork, extra large.
Someone's accidentally bought this for their kid.
I would hope so. There's also an Attack on Titan coloring book.
That's 20% off.
Yeah, yeah,
What a steal.
yeah. Good stuff. Let's traumatize
God.
Ethan. Here you go, Ethan.
Good
Take a look at
God.
that. So I purchased something else. Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
I was checking
Yeah.
the book to see if it didn't have one of those I Love Ethan books inside of it
Yeah.
to really traumatize him.
Something else that was on sale.
Oh, very nice.
The first 3 Dune books.
Okay.
So this was $20. So
Oh, wow.
so
My favorite novel of all time.
exactly. So I'm going to now that I purchased all 3, I have to at some point read all 3 of them. So I am preparing after the first book to go off the
As
rails.
the unofficial expert on Dune in this room, if you've read the first one, you can stop. You've read one of the greatest, and from my opinion, greatest novels of all time. If you go on, you have to read Messiah and Children of Dune back to back, so you finish the trilogy. It is one of the best science fiction trilogies ever put to paper. If you go past that, you then have to read God Emperor of Dune,
Right.
and you are in a hell spiral that will lead you down horrible ideas.
right. And then so Saturday morning,
All right.
I get a knock on my door.
Oh.
Okay.
I think it might be UPS, but it's not. It's my neighbor, not next door, across the fucking street. Bless her, because
okay.
it could have been lost forever.
Oh my God! Did it get to you?
It got to me. Let me show it to you.
Oh my
shit.
God!
By the way, on the secondary market, this thing's going for $500.
Oh,
I believe
shit.
it. I believe that.
As you're getting that out, Lionel Johnson, the second living Primarch to be reintroduced into the 40K universe, was selling for $110. It sold out in half an hour everywhere. It is now on the secondary markets for $500 as well.
Here is the academic 133 XL.
Yes,
Oh,
the
shit.
professor's very own deck box,
Deck
which
box,
is
yeah.
amazing.
Let me
Hold on, let me play something appropriate to this. That's okay. There you go. It's
Yeah.
appropriate.
So when you open it, you get that's his logo right there.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. Nice shield. Very nice.
Start your own journey.
And then here she is.
Oh.
Here's
That looks rough and rugged. That looks like you
So
looks like
it's,
you can take a nice bullet or two.
it's magnetic, so
Oh, very nice. I like that.
and also it does this as well.
Oh, that's
okay.
cool. I
So
like
that's pretty
that.
nice.
Yeah, you can put the top of it on the bottom to.
This compartment that our listeners cannot see.
Yeah.
Right here it holds 2 decks of cards, or if you take this out right here, it holds a deck box or 2.
Very nice.
Okay.
It can hold 1 triple sleeve one triple sleeved deck or 2 double sleeve decks right here.
I see that it's royal purple with gold embossing. Did you choose that specifically?
It was either this or hot pink and black.
Oh wow.
okay.
Okay.
So at the time or whatever. And then right here you have a secret compartment for tokens, and you see how they have that flap right there.
Oh
so,
yeah, I like that the token boxes have that flap in the front. That's cool.
right. This is by GameGenic. This version of this GameGenic box will probably never come to market. They have a version of it that's a little bit bigger that's not anywhere close to this cool come out.
Well, with the magnets and the gold embossing,
all that stuff or whatever. This was like 45. I think
that's not bad.
Yeah.
For something that you cannot buy on market, I think it's pretty awesome.
And the things that you can buy on market that are like to me that are at the same price don't store nearly as much. So yeah, no, that's a good buy, brother.
Yeah, I thought about getting this, but I'm glad I didn't because of the hell that I know that you have gone through.
I went through. So again, to remind anybody who listened to the previous episode where I talked about this, I got an email in the beginning of February. I think it was February 8th saying your package has been shipped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks, I'll let 2 weeks go by. And so they sent an email, I think it was Thursday or Friday, saying, listen, we know shipping problems have occurred that's outside of our control. And then the next day I got the fucking box. So
there you go.
So there we go.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I am upset that I wasn't able to get the Kickstarter at the time it was going on. But just like looking at like the production that went into it, it's I wish I would have gotten
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's a really cool deck box.
Yeah.
Ethan, where can they reach us?
Yes. You can listen to us on Saga. That is Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon.
Absolutely.
Oh, shit.
And if you would like to reach us personally, you can email us at travelersontheomnibus with one L, all one word, all lowercase. That is travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com.
And you can also directly message us on Spotify and take part in any polls we may or may not have. Jay, do we have any feedback this week?
We do not have any feedback this week, unless our live studio audience wants to ask us a question right now. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend Chris Weindell, locally, he's here tonight. He's been listening to us, and maybe he has a question for us. We're putting him on the spot because that's what I like to do because I'm an agent of chaos in service to the greater forces of order.
Doth thou have a question?
No questions.
No question.
No questions.
No
Okay.
further questions.
further
Okay, then I have a question for him.
All right, cool.
Okay, best soup in the world. What's the best soup? This man's stroking his
Ramen
chin.
is technically a soup.
Yes. Yeah. Like now are we talking about like ramen off the shelf or proper fucking ramen?
Proper ramen.
Proper ramen.
ramen.
Okay, I can dig with that. There you go.
The correct answer was loaded potato soup, but that's
The correct
a good,
answer was gumbo, and I was denied it.
I offered you a spoon for gumbo.
You offered me a spoon. I thought it was for cocaine.
The spoon was for gumbo.
That was a big spoon for cocaine.
How much cocaine is the proper amount of cocaine? That was a line in Cocaine Bear.
That is right. That is very true.
And it was technically a spoon.
Right now, it's Super Mario Brothers #1, Cocaine Bear #2 this year for me.
I will say that for me, Universal with Renfield.
Universal
and
in general,
with Cocaine Bear.
and Super Mario
And
Brothers.
was that Universal?
That's all
That was
Universal.
also Universal.
wow.
They're knocking it out of the fucking park.
They're
this
doing
year.
some good stuff there.
The studio that brought us the Minions also brought us Super Mario.
Yes. Yeah.
I like Despicable Me, the original one.
Yes.
The original one's
fine.
very good.
My favorite line, actually, referencing that has nothing to do with at that at all. Video Game Donkey is like he was doing a VR show, and one of them was a boxing, and the boxing trainer looks like Gru. So it's my boxer looks like Gru from that movie Despicable Bitch, and I'm just like, now I can't think of that movie without thinking of the word Despicable Bitch. I think it might be a better movie if you sub out that. I'm just saying.
Probably. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, now that we've all covered what we've been up to, it looks like it's time for our main topic, fear. Some people call it a list. It's our chalkboard.
I was waiting for the whole fearology.
Oh, yeah.
Might as well just call this fearology.
Where does Travelers on the Omnibus begin and Fearology end? Like, what the fuck?
When I'm hosting, it's one and the same.
we could
Yeah.
rename these episodes Fearology North Coast,
Yeah.
like directly off the Yukon where it's cold.
So last week off the cuff, I just thought, hey, we should do a chalkboard on horror movie villains, and everybody was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Cool.
Let's do it.
That means less effort that we have to do coming up with.
And that's our motto on the show. Is,
minimal effort.
minimal effort. All right, so we are doing the top 5 horror villain movie characters of all time.
All right, cool.
Who has bullet privileges? Because it was weird last time.
Fuck, I don't even remember.
Who had it last time?
The last chalkboard, it was things that should stop. I was given the bullet because I was given the parachute because I saved Transformers.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
so you have the
So I
ability.
can give someone a bullet.
All right. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Gotcha.
We'll hold off on that as it is. But yes, that bullet is possible
Okay.
to basically keep one off of the board. It cannot be anyone's number one.
We're gonna start with me.
You.
No.
There we go. I like this. These are positive changes.
That way, I can't be assimilated in anybody else's choices.
Is the Borg on your list?
It is not, but it
Okay.
should have been.
There you go.
But horror movie villains. I guess that would probably qualify.
I consider First Contact a horror movie.
I thought heavily about putting the HAL 9000 on there.
Oh, okay.
But
Very
it's
so honorable mention.
yeah. And Evil Ash from Army of Darkness was
Okay,
also
very
a
nice.
honorable mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sally Flat. Sally Flat. Sally Forth.
Sally Forth. So my number 5 top horror movie villain of all time is Dracula.
Ah.
All right.
From Dracula Dead and Loving It, I assume.
Oh yeah, that one specifically. The most threatening of all the Draculas.
Yes. He scared the shit out of me.
One could say that some of the acting in that was better than the Bram Stoker Dracula. I'm talking about Keanu Reeves' character.
Yeah.
So Dracula, specifically the Bela Lugosi Universal.
Yeah.
At the time, probably extremely terrifying, I guess, for the audience that watched it in the early 30s. Very manipulative. Very you lose your control and all that, men and women alike.
Also,
I mean,
for the unnaturalness of it, Lugosi did not know English well enough yet, so he
Right.
learned his lines phonetically. So that Romanian drawl, if I can say it like that, that wasn't necessarily going to be how the character spoke. It just kind of, and it's kind of stuck for the last 100 years.
I mean, just Dracula by himself is just a scary dude. So.
depending on what you're watching, yes,
Yeah,
for sure, or
it's
reading.
definitely an iconic.
If he's with 90s artist Vitamin C and on a ceiling, not so much.
Jay's referring to Virgin Megastore, the movie.
Yeah.
Dracula 2000.
Yeah. My number 4 horror movie villain of all time is Herbert West from Reanimator. Herbert West, also a social manipulator, created all of the problems in that movie franchise, which there are only 2. Don't look into it any further. There's only the original Reanimator and Bride of Reanimator. Beyond Reanimator never happened.
Oh, okay.
But From Beyond did, and you should watch that one.
Yeah, From Beyond is also really good.
Okay.
My third one is Claude Rains' The Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah.
That character is frightening. Maybe today's standards a little bit cheesy, corny, hokey, but very threatening in the universe of the movie that it's made in.
Say the line, Jody.
I'm going to kill you, Kent.
There we go.
My number 2, Mrs. Voorhees from the original Friday the 13th
original.
movie.
Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah,
okay.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
She had a boy.
She had a boy and also a sweater. My number 1 is, I think, the closest you could get to having a fictionalized serial killer be close to an actual serial killer. Hannibal Lecter is my number 1 horror movie villain of all time.
From the movie Hannibal Rising.
Red Dragon, thank you very much. Yes, from Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Very good, stellar performance.
I think
been a lot
also
of
him
good-
also in Hannibal. Like,
Yeah.
is also
Oh,
very
yeah.
good.
Mads Mikkelsen. That's a great
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
show.
If you ever had some sort of disdain for Ray Liotta, you can watch him eat his own brains in that movie.
Yeah, in Hannibal. Yeah.
In Hannibal. It's very good. So that's mine. What about Ethan?
Oh.
Here we go.
I kind of like this list a lot better knowing that I'm going after you slightly.
What?
What does that mean?
Well, hold on.
hang-
Yeah, it's we'll see about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. I'll. So
Those of you who don't know, Jody is doing. Oh, they're both doing the rock
Oh,
ring into
Jesus.
one another.
okay.
I'll
so,
see you after the Super Mario movie.
So, my number 5 and number 4 are more so like nightmare factors for me. From me as a young child.
So 10 minutes ago? Okay, got it.
Gotcha, yes. Number 5 is going to be Tim Curry's Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Oh.
Okay,
'Cause
I get that.
just me as a child, just seeing like the box art.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the DVD.
That is terrifying.
To her dying breath, my mom would say like, "Oh, we didn't let you watch. Let you watch it," and she lied because they did, and it fucked me up.
Yeah, and so, and also in the same category, number 4 is Wes Craven's Freddy Krueger.
Ah, okay, yeah.
That's a good solid one.
Yeah.
If you count 1, 3, and New Nightmare.
Now, the one image that like will always be in my head is Nightmare on Elm Street 2, when Freddy's just chasing everyone out in the backyard, and that just me seeing that as like a 5 or 4 year old, something like that. It's just always stuck with me. So my number 3 is Pamela Voorhees.
Oh, shit.
Interesting.
Interesting.
It's written on the paper and
Yep.
it's old ink. So there you go.
Pamela
I'm glad I
Voorhees.
went first. That's why he said it. That's why he said it.
My number 2 is Adrian Griffin, who plays the newer Invisible Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The new Invisible Man is very, very good.
Yeah, and just the thought of just someone like watching you at all times and you not being able to see them and them still be able to like interact with you is just terrifying.
And you know they're doing it and no one believes
And,
you.
and using it as gaslighting, like
Right.
that's the big thing. Like that, like I hope that they continue to do things like this where they are taking the old Universal monsters and moving them in and reinterpreting them in a different way.
And it's made in a way where it is possible, it's theoretically possible.
Yeah, and that suit actually like can trigger like what is that tryptophobia? Yeah,
Like,
like
it
it
itself
is
just
inside.
terrifying.
It
I'm
is
glad he's
unsettling.
invisible.
Yeah, because when you see that suit, it's like, oh god, I don't like that.
And my number 1 is the Jigsaw Killer from Saw.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just with what's the guy's name? I can't remember his the actual person's name, but the psychology that he uses, like, I'm not killing them. I'm giving them the option of living, and they're just choosing to die. And so, and the fact that he's manipulating people in such a way to like carry out his own will, and so yeah, those are my top 5.
Brady.
I wanted to put like one of these classic guys on here, and I think the one of the best ones of those, just the iconic of a character. Like all of his movies weren't great. Most of like the really iconic characters, like all of their movies weren't great. But this one is Freddy Krueger. He has the most personality of all of those classic slasher villains. He has the most interesting, like, he actually has powers. Like he has a lore and stuff
a
like that.
backstory, yeah.
And a backstory other than, just whatever we kind of feel like, because sometimes Jason's a zombie, sometimes Jason's not a zombie, but the invading the dreams and being able to do creative things in that is very is of the most interesting. So the fourth one, some of these, a couple of these are going to be from actually newer movies, but most of these are from older movies. So this next one is from a relatively new movie. It's the Armitage family from Get Out.
Ah, okay.
This is like Get Out is not my favorite of Jordan Peele's movies, but I think like when it comes to like villains, this is the strongest of those three, and this is like they take that. They do some interesting things with this family that is, literally, stealing black bodies to use for white people's, whatever they need. So it's a very interesting take, and it's a different thing than what we've seen, in the past. The next one, number 3, is the entity from It Follows. I was going back and forth between this one and the Babadook from the titular Babadook. Even though I like the Babadook better, I went with the entity because they're both very interesting. Like they both have but like there's something about this one that I feel like is a little bit stronger. And to be honest, I felt like this one would have a better chance of like us actually like agreeing on it. But
let me just throw this behind there. Babadook has like lore, like we have lore, but this is the first time that in my brain I can remember a sexually transmitted curse.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was
thinking
thinking the same
curse.
thing.
And
I think it's just a great notion.
like it's the entity is creepy because it could be like anything. Anyone that you're seeing in the background that is facing the camera and moving towards you could be this thing. And it is very unsettling because then it changes the way you watch the movie. So, and I think this is a very interesting, again, just like my number 4, this is a very interesting, evolution of these, of a horror villain or a horror monster. Yeah. So number 2, now this one hasn't always been in what would be considered horror movies, but I think the horror movies when it's actually been in this are some of the stronger versions of this and better characterizations of this character. And this character is seen as really is best used when it's seen as a natural disaster, basically. And this is Godzilla. The first Godzilla is a great movie. There's a great allegory for the atomic bomb. Every time that it's been used that Godzilla has actually been used as a villain and not just like a friend to children who's going to fight other monsters.
Right.
Like those are some of the better movies. I think it was 1985-ish.
I think it's 85.
85 Godzilla where he's a villain again. That one's great. The newest Shin Godzilla is phenomenal, but yeah, when he's used as a and he's really like a natural disaster, but like he's obviously like the villain of those movies. Like that's when he's at his best, I think. And that leaves number 1. Number 1 is a little bit of a cheat because there's actually, I would argue in this movie there are 2 villains.
Freddy versus Jason.
Yes, Freddy versus Jason. That's my number 1. No. So in the movie The Shining, most people are like, "Oh yeah, Jack Torrance, he's the villain of this." And I would argue that the main villain of this is the Overlook Hotel.
The hotel, yeah.
This is like you could argue that Jack would have done bad things without the influence of the hotel, but he wouldn't have like tried to murder his family with an axe. Without this, like
other occurrences happened before he even got there.
The influence of the hotel and the way that it takes over a person and subsumes them and takes them into the hotel, is very important. Is very like strong and like the hotel is a character in this movie. You get very intimate with the hotel, like all about this thing. Like it is a straight up character. So that's my number 1, the hotel / sub Jack Torrance.
Doesn't the hotel also influence the guy in Doctor Sleep?
Yeah. It's less of a character in that movie because it's just towards the end. But the use of the Overlook in that movie in and of itself is like very, very good.
I agree.
Very,
100%.
very good.
Gotcha.
Just real quick, Doctor Sleep. Underrated horror movie because
I would say so.
To me, like that approach is classic. It's very hard because you have to balance it against the original Shining. But yeah, like every part of that because it mixed both the book and the movie and creates this just fantastic little place where everything works.
Yeah,
I can't.
And it's a great use of, hey, we're not going to CGI zombie these people. We're just going to find people who can play Jack Torrance. He's not going to look exactly like Jack Nicholson, but he's going to do a pretty good job. We're going to get somebody who looks like Scatman Crothers. I
would argue that memory would also it would be even better because you don't remember everything exactly the same.
Yeah, that's when it's really good. But yeah, Dr. Sleep is definitely, I think, underrated. That's Mike Flanagan, the same guy who did Midnight Mass. He did The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Like he's really good at doing he's one of my favorite horror guys.
Supernatural
nowadays.
horror.
I've heard a lot of good things about Haunting of Hill House.
I have heard it too. I haven't watched that one, but I have watched Midnight Mass and I fucking love that.
I haven't watched Midnight Mass, but I did watch Hill House and it was very good.
I've heard very good things about it. I just never got around
I always recommend the 60s version of that story. The Haunting of Hill House is
That's got
phenomenal.
Vincent Price in it, doesn't it? Or
No, that is
no. It's
House on a Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we did not forget about Jay.
Thank
as
God.
the
Oh, my
song
God.
goes. Jay.
So this list for me, 1 and 2 were a subsect, and much they impacted me. I ended up being 1 and 2. The rest of this is pretty much the winner of just a kind of 3 different genres. So for my number 5, I went with the OGs, and I was considering the OGs, and really it all comes back to Wallachia. My number 5 is Dracula, as portrayed by Bela Blasco, aka Bela Lugosi. Good evening. Now, just everything, everything
Children
about
of the night.
what music they make. I've chartered the ship. Leave for tomorrow evening. Like everything is just drawn out because he's getting the phonetics down rather than the actual word. Absolutely chilling. Very just disturbing. My number 4 goes to the 80s, and specifically the silent killers of the 80s. It was a toss-up between 2. Honorable mention is going to go to Michael Myers, but my number 4 is She Did Have a Boy. His name was Jason Voorhees. He just even in the first movie, he only shows up once and he gets a kill, even though it's a dream sequence. Yeah. And then he just goes ham for the remainder of the 80s and the early 90s. And then there was Jason X, which I ironically love, is like one of my favorite.
I also.
In movie
It's
theater.
dumb fun.
Put that on a giant screen, surround sound. Oh my God.
The
Jason X
callbacks
is
they
amazing.
did in Jason X make that movie.
They finally were able to do the full on scene, sleeping bag scene. Because in the original they had to cut it. It was only 2 shots, but they had actually recorded that for like 7 or 8 times.
Jesus.
Bones and like body parts are flying out of the bag and the clips. Oh, it's amazing. My number 3, this is going to be the talkative killers of the 80s. And again, it came down to 2 people. Honorable mention, of course, to Pinhead. Demons to some, angels to others. We'll tear your soul apart. But that was my honorable mention because, number 3 is Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
The first one was way scarier than any of the other ones, but for lack of frightening us, he makes up with one of the most killer personalities in all of cinema, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely Freddy Krueger. And shout out to Robert Englund for his work. God, like as iconic as it comes. Maybe not as iconic as this one. My number 2 is Hannibal Lecter.
Yep.
Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and also the Hannibal TV series, which Brady so expertly pointed out, done by Mads Mikkelsen. I would also announce Red Dragon as well. The scenes between him and
Edward Norton
are just amazing. Like it's just 2 very good one. I think we can say honestly, all time GOAT actor and like one of the best American actors that has ever existed. So just the way Hannibal knows everything that is going on long before any of the protagonists do, and is just sitting there with as much arrogance and as much confidence as he does. It's absolutely compelling. My number 1 goes back to Oxford, Mississippi. I believe this was, I want to say it was 2003 when this movie premiered, and we had no idea what this movie was about. We just walked down to the theater. I've told this story before here, but I will tell it again. We just walked down to the theater and said, hey, okay, we'll watch this movie. And we went in there, paid our ticket, sat down, and we were in rapt attention from about 10 minutes in to the very end. It is the only time I've ever gone to the theater and the turn moment had everyone standing on their feet screaming.
Oh, wow.
It's the ending of Saw. It is Jigsaw.
Okay.
Jigsaw, the first 3 movies, it gets way more stretched out after that because after he's dead, he apparently planned way too much. In fact, even though there's other
they bring in basically every movie was here's another student.
Those first 3 movies stand the test of time, and I would argue Saw is not a horror classic. It is an American movie classic. It was done that well. So my number 1 is Jigsaw.
Yeah, Jigsaw was on my mind, and I think that I took it off my list mainly just because after the first 3 movies, there really isn't a Jigsaw anymore.
Yeah, it like later on, like to be honest, like most of these, like
Jody, and I apologize for interrupting you, Brad.
No, it's okay.
for a fearology for you and me, not less so the analog horror, like the entire Saw septology 1 through 7, not the one that came later, or Jigsaw that came after that.
Right.
But that's something I think we could both sit down to. And
Oh,
really
yeah,
just
definitely.
Kind of
It's
piece out.
interesting. A lot of these like didn't make my list because of like eventually they just kept like leaving a sour taste in my mouth, and Saw is one of those where I just like turned off so hard because after that third one, like it went downhill so fast and so hard.
We were on our feet,
Yeah.
screaming, "Holy shit!"
I was lucky.
Nobody in there knew that.
That first
Nobody
movie
got
is
called that.
like phenomenal, especially when it goes to the twist of the movie.
Yeah.
I would argue like the twist of the movie makes the movie.
I would say
In-
it definitely makes the movie.
In my opinion, that is
Tobin Bell makes that movie.
Oh yeah, Tobin Bell is great.
His voice is fucking.
Tobin
amazing.
Bell is great.
It is the best plot twist in
It's definitely one of the best plot twists in
It's
modern
definitely
cinema.
up there. It's definitely up there. Just for like, if I'm gonna watch one of them, I'm gonna watch two before I watch one again, because to me, like most of one is that plot twist, and once you get the plot twist.
I remember watching 2 and enjoying it to a degree, and 2 reminded me a lot of 7.
Yeah.
Just the way that the
2 actually wasn't a Saw movie, and then they made it into a.
that's
Saw.
what it
they
felt
changed
like.
it around
yeah,
into a Saw movie.
a mystery murder kind of thing going on there.
But it's the same thing with like Michael Myers didn't make mine, because really
after the first Halloween,
there's one good
Yeah.
great Halloween movie, and the rest of them are just.
I would argue
fine
2 is really good, but 1 is the best
fine
one.
to. Oh God, please. Fine to Busta Rhymes karate kicking Michael Myers in the face.
Right.
So that's why, and the same thing with Jason. Like Jason, he's iconic, but he's on and
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
like Freddy. That's why I chose like Freddy, because I felt like he has one, like even like he's in a shitty movie, like the character in and of itself is still like pretty consistent throughout. And there is actually a character there.
And I think that's why Jason's mom is on the list multiple times, is because she's more iconic. She has a less hokey and corny like
like I
part
thought of
in the series.
Ghostface from Scream, but to me, really like Scream. That's it.
Well, the thing also, I can't remember. I think it was the second Friday the 13th movie where the final girl puts the sweater on. Is it 2 or 3? I
It's
can't
2.
remember.
Yeah,
it's 2.
it's 2.
Jason, because he's talking to him like he's his mother. It's like Jason.
Oh
Mother's Day.
yeah. Because this is where that's the one where he has her head in the refrigerator. He has his
that
mom's
one.
head
That
in the
one was
refrigerator.
also really good.
And
No, it wasn't on the refrigerator. It was just literally on this altar in that house that he's.
I remember it being in the refrigerator. Maybe
remember-
but it's been a while since I've watched it.
I think the mom's head's in the refrigerator at the beginning
Yeah.
because they
I just
kill
remember a shot
They kill
where
the
he's-
final girl from the first movie within like spoilers for
Right.
a 30, 40-year-old movie.
Well, we've already spoiled that Pamela Voorhees is the killer in the in Friday the 13th, the first one.
She
so.
just retired. That's all.
yeah.
John Kramer is Jigsaw's name. That's
John
That's
Kramer.
what I was
Okay.
trying to remember.
Okay.
But then the actor Tobin Bell, Carrie Elwes. I also want to point out in that movie.
Oh,
the
yeah.
scenes with that.
Yeah.
The Princess Bride himself.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Emerson, who was one of the main bad guy, who was the main bad guy in Lost. Not John Locke. I forgot his name. Goddamn. But
Oh yeah. The
he's
creepy guy.
He's a great red herring for that. Everything about that is just woven so well. Oh my god.
I think Mrs. Voorhees deserves to be in the top 5, but I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I would like to go ahead and give my bullet to someone.
Oh, okay.
And Jay, I do not believe you've ever received.
I've never
bullets.
received the solo bullet. No.
Okay, I will give you the bullet.
All right, I will hold on to this bullet
Okay.
for right now. Let's start with volume. Kruger appears 3 times. Now, he never appears as anybody's number 1 or number 2, but he's my 3.
it's-
I think Ethan's 4 and Jody's... No. Excuse me, Brady's 5.
Brady's
Praise
5.
5.
Okay.
Jody, if I can ask, why not Freddy? What is he lacking that your top 5 has?
Okay, so for
Well, one, he's not a universal monster.
Wait a minute.
I got 2. Yeah.
There's 2 Draculas though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah.
There are 2 Draculas, but this.
Why not Freddy Krueger? And I'll go a little deep on it. So in Friday the 13th, we have Mrs. Voorhees, who's the villain in the first movie. And then the second movie, it starts becoming Jason. So we have her in the first movie. So Jason's not really even a thing really in the first movie. The second movie, we have Jason. And 3, it was a gimmick movie because it was 3D. It's better than 4, 5, and 6, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
7 is my favorite out of 7 and 10. 7 because you have a psychic battle
I was about to
between
say one of them had a psychic.
telekinetic chick versus Jason, which is the most badass horror movie fight of all time. With the exception of the second movie and the 7th movie, which most people don't like the 7th movie, and Jason X, which really is not really a Friday the 13th movie. The second one's really the only one where Jason stands out for me personally. So the same thing I have to go with Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, the first movie's fucking phenomenal. The second movie is a dumpster fire with a lot of weird overtones. The third movie is also exceptionally stellar, mainly because you have the kids fighting back in it.
The third one is Dream Warriors.
It's Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
After that, though, it becomes more about the parents being fuck-ups and the storyline that it is Freddy, and they kind of run out of ideas for the character.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets old real quick. So that's why I didn't put Freddy Krueger on the list for me.
Okay. That makes sense.
Freddy's mom being a nun and being
Yeah, they go some
Yeah,
weird
they went
places.
hard.
Yeah.
They went hard. And then the fucking dream child or whatever, like,
Just to me, like when it comes to like characters,
Right.
like
He stands out as a character.
He stands
He
out,
stands
from
out
all
as a
of
character.
those slasher guys.
he does stand out as a character.
He has probably the most personality from like.
Well, yeah, because
the
Jason
80s.
and Michael
Yeah.
Myers don't speak.
Well, he's the one that's not just a dude holding a sharp weapon. Like
An unstoppable
is-
guy.
He's toying with everyone.
He
Right.
is. It's not just he kills you by stabbing you in the chest. He goes into your dreams and,
Right.
he fucks with you in there, and he uses your subconscious against you and things like that.
Well,
That-
also,
and he dunks on you like Shaq.
also he
and
is
he calls you a bitch.
he's also a very difficult adversary because unlike some of these other movies, which just have pretty much the same ending of them trying to kill Jason or whatever, in the Nightmare movies, they have to go through all these different there's a point where they have to go through all this ridiculous
it gets
ritual.
absolutely ridiculous.
You must bring Freddy into the real world, and then we must kill him in there.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's mostly what happens.
Yeah.
In that.
Now, we have two different Invisible Mans.
I'll be honest, like the Invisible Man from the newer version almost made my list. A lot of my like honorable mentions like skewed towards like newer movies.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the character. I mean, the actor or that specific character. It can be just the Invisible Man as its own, because like
We could have put Chevy Chase, the Invisible Man, up here, and it would have
Jesus
also been
Christ.
counting.
there's like 20 other character actors that have played.
Yes.
There's an Invisible Woman.
I'm bringing up the thing on
we
the
could-
other end.
We could add
I got
in
you.
the Invisible Man from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, that's also true.
He was actually not bad.
Yeah, he was one of the
all
better
right.
parts of that movie.
He was all right.
I don't remember the guy's name. He's like an Irish actor, but he's always like an Irish dude in one of those movies.
Dracula. Jody and I agreed specifically. Dracula ended up, and the Bela Lugosi Dracula ended up on 5 and 5.
On number 5, yeah.
Just quick aside. Best Dracula of all time.
Ooh.
Like Christopher Lee Dracula's up there.
Yeah.
For me, Oldman and
Gary Oldman.
Bela Lugosi
Gary
are
Oldman
like
was good.
almost tied.
Yeah, it's that's a tough one.
Yeah. We've had some
What's the dude from Blade Trinity?
That's a Triple H. Triple H.
No,
played
Triple H
Dracula.
isn't Dracula in that.
Yeah, he is for me.
It's,
He's one of my top people.
he's on
Game of
Prison Break.
Thrones,
He's on Prison Break.
Weddington? Or
No,
something?
it's the brother.
Oh, that's
Dominic, I think something.
right. West? No.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not looking it up.
Triple H played Dracula. In
Yeah,
Weddington.
yeah.
Triple H.
Paul Levesque.
was
Yeah,
a vampire with like
A small dog.
with a small dog, and his his vampire fangs were like chromed out.
Okay, so Triple H, number one horror villain of all time. I saw WrestleMania Night 2. I think that's enough.
So I want to argue for the entity from It Follows, because I think something newer on there would be very would be good. I want
to take that, and again, the side of it, not that it's newer, it's that it's fresher. Like,
well, yeah,
again,
fresher. It's a fresh take on something.
You can make an argument for a lot of these things being kind of, just extrapolations of other things that are on the list or even off the list. Again, the notion of a sexually transmitted curse, like, I don't know how long they would have tried, but you would think sexually transmitted diseases, especially in like the early 80s with the onset of AIDS coming out of nowhere and like all that stuff. You'd think that there would have been more of that kind of like this, and it just didn't happen.
I think it probably didn't happen. The horror of real life probably superseded any.
That didn't stop
of
Grindhouse movies in the 70s.
Yeah, that didn't. But that's Grindhouse movies in the 70s before AIDS.
It was more. I think it was just more. Like, I've watched some stuff, and it's a little bit. It was just a little bit more subtle with that.
I agree with Brady. I think It Follows should go on.
It's the only one on the list that changes the way you look. Once you figure out what the thing is, it changes the way you're watching the movie.
And
now,
also,
now, instead of paying attention to the people in the front, now you're paying attention. Oh, what's in the back here? Oh God, what's over there? Is that the person? Is that the person?
And also, like, any sort of like weakness or like subverting the inevitable is always like undermined by the entity itself. Like, it's like an ongoing force that's just unstoppable.
Yeah, the only thing that you can do is pass it on.
Right.
And if that person dies, then it goes right back to you.
I vote to put it on the list.
Right.
I will agree.
All right. It Follows is our first nominee.
Yeah.
All right.
Following that, what do we have?
So what do we got? So the multiples that we got is Pamela Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Dracula,
and
Jigsaw,
and Hannibal Lecter.
And Hannibal Lecter.
I would like to know. We have the two Jigsaws are both in the number one spots for two separate lists. Does that constitute? Is that enough for it to be a nomination?
It's the number one on two and completely absent from the other two.
Yeah, that's
true.
Like, if it ends up on there, I'm not gonna throw a fit, but it's not. Again, like, it just got so, like, the whole idea of Jigsaw got so watered down and soured.
Also,
with me. Like, there's, like, you couldn't pay me to watch a Saw movie nowadays.
Also, you have, like, we have Jigsaw and Hannibal Lecter. Like, Jay's list has both Jigsaw and Hannibal Lecter. I have Hannibal Lecter on mine. Like, between Jigsaw and Hannibal Lecter, which one is the better mastermind at being a serial killer? They're both exceptional.
Yeah. If you're gonna force me to choose between those two, I'm gonna say Hannibal Lecter all day. Like, that's who I would prefer. Like, I'll still watch, Silence of the Lambs. I don't think I ever watched was it Manhunter, where he was
I never watched Manhunter.
Brian Cox played.
Yeah, Brian Cox. But yeah.
Manhunter was when they were focusing. It's kind of similarly to Red Dragon, where more of the focus is on the investigator.
Oh, yeah.
Who's played by Scott.
I can't remember his name.
I forgot, but he's basically the FBI instructor that's teaching Clarice in the Silence of the Lambs.
So I think it can be safe. I'm going to throw this out there. It can be safe to say that, like, when it comes to like the 80s slasher movies, we only need one of those on the list. So
Freddy's on 3 lists
between Freddy and Pamela, and Jason's up there too. So
well, I'd say like Pamela beats Jason, like, easy. That's my personal opinion. As a villain,
yeah, quality of movie, I think you're right, because I think it's an easy argument that, like, just straight up quality wise, of course some of them are cheesy and enjoyable, but like most of the other Friday the 13th are just all even put together don't match up to.
I would also say Pamela and Freddy could be on the same list because they are two different villains in their reasoning for why they're doing.
I see that, but I'll let you talk, Ethan. I'm sorry.
I will say Pamela has motivation that is leading to her killing in the first Friday the 13th.
Well, so does the ghost of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
For me, it comes down to two things. Of the two, as far as the pinnacle movie, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, to me, is heads above every other movie in Friday the 13th. Just the way that the second thing is, much like in Friday the 13th, I'm cutting Pamela's head off.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Oh shit. Damn.
All right then.
All right.
Well, that solves that problem.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that before I had my long-winded diatribe with why.
I had a feeling somebody was about to, and was like, no, let's do this now.
Yeah. Okay.
Show me Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger is on the
Freddy
list.
Krueger. Yeah.
Oh, Pamela, we knew you well.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was just something with her and her head being chopped off.
All right, so let's return to a previous. I think you're right, because for me it came down to Jigsaw and Hannibal. Like, because again, that was going to be the theme of my list. Was
Right.
but and then I got to those two, and like, no, I can't remove these guys, and they're my two favorites. So
Right.
that's the reason why they ended up 1 and 2 for me. Me personally, I'm good with either of them. There's 3 of you, which means it would be an uneven vote if there would be a tiebreaker. Let's put it, if you guys are willing to submit to it, Jigsaw or Hannibal Lecter.
Here's how I feel about it.
Go for it.
So let's just take out the existence of all of the whole, like, you know, multiple sequels on both, really. Because as a film, the first Saw movie, much like the first Silence of the Limbs,
Yeah.
Silence of the Limbs.
Okay.
the parody,
Shut up, elbow.
Silence of the
Can you hear
Lambs.
the limbs? The elbows are screaming, Clarice.
The knuckles.
I had the knuckles with a nice glass of Chianti and fava bean.
I hate the way he says Chianti.
I can smell you.
But a secret thing, like he's secretly telling her that he's off his meds because the meds that he's supposed to be taking, you can't eat like iron-rich foods, which is liver,
Right.
and you can't have alcohol with them.
Oh, I think like if you take Saw by itself compared to Silence of the Lambs, though that's a harder argument right there. Like if you take,
I don't think that that's hard at all. Like
Hold on, like, so my answer to that is Saw.
Silence of the Lambs.
See, no,
all
no,
the way.
See, I agree with you in that it's not a hard argument. The problem is we both come down on different sides of the argument.
Yeah, I
on
don't
that
even
one.
like.
And
Saw
I
is
love
a good movie, but to
love-
me, like Saw is almost
A twist,
If
and
it
that's
didn't,
it.
if it didn't have that twist, like the rest, like that's because that's what people talk about. Like most of the rest of that movie is good performances, but like there's like you remember. Princess Bride cuts his foot off, and then the twist, and that's
And that's
the
it.
most of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a good movie,
Right.
But I think that it's mostly on the strength of that twist, which is again one of the. I'm not saying like it's a bad movie or that it's a bad twist. Like
Right.
it's one of the best. The whole reason that it's so strong is that it's one of the best twists ever.
the villain's mastermind plan versus the other villain's mastermind plan.
That's a hard one to argue because like the whole point of Jigsaw is that he has this mastermind plan, whereas like Hannibal Lecter isn't even like the like
Yeah, it's Cowboy.
it's
Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
For me, just like there are a few others. Shawnee Smith, no. The girl who actually the only survivor of his traps, like her retelling her story and the shooting of that and everything about that is perfect. And at the end of it, when she has these weeping eyes and she's looking and she goes, "He helped me," and it's just that's. I don't know, that scene stays with me a lot more so than
In
a lot
Saw
of other
2?
scenes. Yeah, no, Saw 1.
Was it Saw
That was the
1?
original
Was,
Saw
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah.
I will say, if I had to choose between Jigsaw and Hannibal, I have to say Jigsaw, just for the manipulation of what John Kramer does with all the people that he chooses for his traps and this psychology and like the breakdown of why he's doing everything. It's too perfect to me. So I'd have to choose Jigsaw.
And so I would assume Hannibal
Yes.
Lecter over here.
100%.
Host
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter. There we go. Hannibal Lecter's on the list.
No, that's not necessarily saying we're not going to put Jigsaw on there for
Yeah.
our audience that's listening. We're gonna go.
We have 2 more spots left.
We got 2 more spots. So
How do we feel about Invisible Man? How do we feel about it?
Which one? Because I prefer Claude Rains for the classicness.
I think
as a character, as a villain, the Invisible Man, not necessarily the portrayal of a modern interpretation of the original Universal Classic or the Universal Classic standalone. I think the character's motivations, the villain's motivations, not necessarily tied to one specific Invisible Man.
Well, and also, if we also want to take it this way, you see the kind of spectrum of mania, because you have pure like mania
Madness
with
yeah,
Claude
complete
Rains,
madness.
where we have with Adrian Griffin in the most recent Invisible Man, you have
methodical obsession
and narcissism.
Yeah, when you get to like between those two, even though like I really like what they did with the new like the older Invisible Man, Claude Rains, he's actually a character. Most like for most of the new Invisible Man, you're not even certain. Like there's points where you're not even certain if it's not all in Elizabeth Moss's head. Like she's the character in this, whereas in the Invisible Man, in the old one, like the character is the Invisible Man. Like you see more to them than compared to the other one.
So do we combine the amalgamation and just say the Invisible Man in general, just for the versatility of what you can do with the character?
But then I think if we're going to talk about the Invisible Man, then we got to talk about Dracula, like
Universal.
If we combine,
my point against that would be specifically the Dracula that's on this list both times is the same portrayal, and we have mentioned that there's a lot of, and we also we went to very deep about what are the best
specifically
Draculas.
Bela Lugosi Dracula is what's on there, right?
Bella's is specifically here. We have two separate Invisible Mans here. Do we reward one iconic performance, or do we honor a character that can be played in different ways to the same effect, such that they're both number 2 and number 3 on but also, just to point this out, Dracula just makes 2 lists. Invisible Man is number 2 on Ethan's, 3 on Jody's. They're solidly on those lists. That's something we might want to consider as well.
Right. It's very true. Very true.
My personal opinion of do we smash them together is that kind of goes against, I feel, the spirit of the list, but I'm not going to throw a fit if we do.
I kind of agree with Brady. I think that even though we agree, like we do have it just as Dracula, and I think it would be a disservice of Gary Oldman's portrayal as Dracula, as well as Bella's, to not really include both of them kind of involved in the character as a full kind of character, just to be in the fairness of what we're doing here. So we would say, like, the character as a whole, I guess, would be represented on the list as we have it. That way, it's a fair portrayal of, like, is it Dracula versus the Invisible Man? Which one's the better villain? If we're doing that,
do we want to? Because I feel like we're not
giving anything else.
Well, we're not getting to much of a. We're not really like coming to some kind of consensus with this. Maybe we can table this and discuss something else, and then maybe go back to it,
because we still have 2 points.
Because we still have two spots, not just one.
Right.
Let's see.
Okay, if I'm looking at the list and we have 2 spots, there's, in my mind, it would be Dracula, Jigsaw, and if we're looking at them separately, one of the Invisible Mans. That, to me, that's realistically how I would do it.
See, if we put Dracula on the list, we have to leave out both. Well, no, sorry, not that we have to leave out both. If we put Dracula on the list, Claude Rains' Invisible Man cannot go on there, because we're representing classic Universal monsters.
Yeah, I feel like my gut feeling is like we only need one of those classic characters on there.
And the only 2 I think that we have are... Well, actually, no. We have a third classical monster, not in the Universal vein, but we have Dracula. We have Claude Rains' Invisible Man,
and Godzilla.
And we have
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
We do have 3 classical monsters on there. Any thoughts on that? If we take Bela Lugosi, Claude Rains, and the guy who was in that rubber suit for way too fucking long,
put them all in a pit. Who comes out?
If you're going by body count, Godzilla murked a lot of people in that first movie.
Japan.
Well, there's several like in the Heisei era where he just goes fucking insane.
Dracula ate a whole ship.
That is true.
The crew of the Demeter had a very bad time.
Speaking of the Demeter, that's coming out
I
soon,
was
and
about
that
to say
trailer
that
looks really
that
good.
looks like very interesting. Dracula on a boat.
That's
is,
also one of my favorite Renfield scenes when you're just looking down in the hold and he's just looking going,
and then he goes, "I need you to get me a bus of cheerleaders so I can get the full power." Nick Cage.
that's in the Renfield movie. Not
Yeah,
in-
right.
That would have been a weird scene in Dracula 1920.
Give me
Or
a bus
30,
of
excuse me.
cheerleaders.
Get me a bus of cheerleaders.
So I think. Let's see.
How much of Pennywise is Pennywise and how much of it is Tim Curry?
Yes.
Proper answer.
There you go. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not.
Should
I have
we
an
just-
aversion to
should we-
Pennywise.
Should we put Tim Curry on the list? Not Pennywise.
Just Tim
Just
Curry.
Tim Curry.
The man has played Satan before.
yeah.
Yeah.
He has played the Darkness
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Frankenfurter.
and Frankenfurter,
Frankenfurter. That was a villain.
And the butler from Clue.
Yeah.
who was actually Mr. Body.
Depending on which ending he was, he might have been the villain.
and the butler from Home Alone 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the concierge.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
He was,
is-
yeah.
Fancy name.
What's his? Rob Schneider was the.
Oh,
the
yeah.
butler.
Was the bellboy.
That's
Was
right.
the bellboy, yeah.
Yeah, Home Alone 2.
This is the concierge. I knew it was you. I could smell you coming down the hallway. Those zip tape scenes
Oh,
in
yeah.
those movies are just fantastic.
stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. We're really
Spinning our wheels.
We're floating in the sea
we're spinning our wheels right
with
now.
no real sign of shore. So
We're at a
see.
red light that is just always on red.
Trying to figure out something to argue for.
Herbert Wesker. Let's see.
my favorite line. What was I supposed to say? Cat dead. Details later.
Don't expect it to do the tango. All right. Jeez.
Oh, passion. I know it's not Frank West, but yeah, Jesus God Almighty. Stuart I. Gordon,
Oh yeah.
just as a director.
Let's
Holy
take
hell.
let's take a page from a Lovecraft movie.
I feel like even though I really am happy that I put Godzilla on there. If more of y'all would have watched like Shin Godzilla, I could make a stronger.
Yeah, and
argument.
unfortunately, I haven't seen Get Out, so I don't know anything about.
I didn't want to like say too much because it's a relatively new movie, but yeah.
We had the option between how do we feel about still putting Jigsaw on the top 5?
I'll be honest. Again, I'm not gonna like get upset and pout if he gets on the list, but I am always going to be a no on Jigsaw just because I have a very strong aversion to the Saw movies. But again, like that's just how I feel.
I think it's we got to do the Dracula versus Invisible Man. Let's just get that over with because we're running out of options for what we have anyway because we have so many doubles and
Yeah, we do
we've
have
already
a
picked
lot of-
3. Mark out the ones we've already chose on the.
We got It Follows, Freddy
Right.
Krueger, Hannibal.
But
Lecter.
mark them out on the top of the list, so
Yeah, so it's a little
it's
bit
hard to
easier.
see in this blinking light situation.
Yeah, we actually are living in an analog horror studio right now.
So, yeah, so
Hannibal
marker-
Lecter, big check mark. It Follows, big check mark, and Freddy Krueger, big check mark, and big check mark.
Okay,
There
so
we go.
those are eliminated for us to look at
Yeah,
on
we
the
don't,
board.
we don't have to worry about it because they're already on there.
Right.
Okay, let me do this. Let's see. Okay,
Process of elimination.
the Overlook Hotel of all of these has the most conspiracy theories made about it.
Okay.
It's the only one that has a connection to the moon landing. So,
The fuck?
What?
oh, you
Room-
didn't know The Shining was Stanley Kubrick telling everybody that he was the one who faked the moon landing.
Was his confession of faking the moon
Yeah.
landing.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
also about minotaurs.
Yeah.
And also about
labyrinths.
and also about genocides. That
Yeah.
part has a little bit more weight to it.
Yeah.
There is a documentary. It is both highly informative and grossly insane called Room 238. And I
Room
highly
237.
It is 237.
Yeah.
That sounds insane, and I want to see
Yeah,
this.
it's all because
If we can find
little boy.
it, we can actually watch it.
It's worth watching. It's a very good documentary. It's fun because it's insane people giving increasingly insane conspiracy theories about this one movie.
The guy who puts forward the Shining is the apology apologies or confession of Kubrick about the moon landing. Also, now this is one of my favorite ones, but it's like right as he's getting up and he walks over to the table and he's at the corner of the table, you could see that the mailbox tray makes it look like he has a huge boner. And it's just one of those funny ones that it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
How many times have you watched this fucking movie?
No, the other part of that is actually my favorite is that when they all get asked about the other conspiracy, it's like, oh, those people are insane.
Yeah.
It's just what the
Yeah,
fuck?
they're completely not self-aware. It is great.
One of them, like, she starts talking about, it's like, so I was watching the movie, right? And then my son came in and he told me about this horrible dream that he had about how it's like he fell and hit his head and a small little one of his self came out of his brain. And, I'm going away now. And I thought that was really a serendipity. What the fuck are you talking about?
What does that have to do with The Shining?
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the Overlook Hotel being on the list.
I will only write that down if Jigsaw can also be in the top 5.
Sure.
I will co-sign that only on that reason. That way, all of our number ones are on the list, and everybody can be happy. Does anyone disagree with this? My hand is slowly going over here.
Do not disagree.
What?
Ethan, I'm voting yes for Jigsaw to get the Overlook on there.
Put it on.
There we go.
Put it on.
This is the most
There we
political
go.
our
Yeah,
list
we
has
had
ever
to politic to this. We had to cross the aisle. The little side eye that Jody just gave me.
I'm waiting for him to get done writing. I didn't agree to this.
Well, when you run for president of the Travelers of the Omnibus next time, you can go.
Oh, okay. I see how
There you
it
go.
goes.
There you go.
Oh,
Okay.
we're a democracy.
All right.
Yeah.
Democracy.
All right. So fuck Dracula and the Invisible Man. That's fine.
Dracula was on my list. Goddamn it.
Yeah, I know. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I know. I feel bad that one of those wasn't on there.
Yeah.
I would like to,
But I was trying to get my number one on there. so-
right. And also, I mean, after a while, our arguments are going to be
It's just going to be circular.
The same arguments.
We tend to do that sometimes.
And again, we were sitting in the middle of the soup with Dracula and I
Invisible
mean,
Man.
hell, we even parsed it out to, do we combine both Invisible Mans? And we're kind of, to me, the gears were just spinning there.
A lot of times, when we do like, okay, this versus this, because we did it with, practically at the beginning, we did it with the Hannibal and Jigsaw, where it's like we have 2 serial killers, let's only put one of them on the list, kind of thing.
I'd also say it's the same when I did Game of Thrones and Brady did a Song of Ice and Fire, because they're both.
We could have combined those.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well.
Yeah. We could have combined those in the thing.
Because
I would have argued against that because we argued them for different reasons, and I don't agree with Game of Thrones being.
Speaking of arguments, we need to find
Yeah.
positions on
Okay.
these things.
So top 5, and why is Hannibal Lecter number 1?
it's really going to be difficult to
me.
not,
It's a very. It's
not
my
do
number.
that.
It's my number 2. Jody's number 1.
Yeah.
Like again, it beat out Jigsaw getting on the list first, so Jigsaw can't even argue for.
I
number
say
1.
Freddy Krueger's number 5. I'm saying that's my feeling.
You know what? I think that's valid because again, he wasn't anybody's top 2. The highest he is 3 on my list.
It goes 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's on there the most, but he's not in any high spot. So number 5 goes to Freddy.
I don't know. My gut is Jigsaw number 5, but
I don't think that's
what
happening,
but that's not
unfortunately.
happening.
Yeah.
Not being 2 people's number 1.
Mm-hmm. So number 4 is going to be kind of difficult, I think. Possibly.
Yeah.
Because it's really, for me, number 4 is like, it's between It Follows and the Overlook Hotel. That's how I feel. I don't know about everybody else, though.
I would honestly put It Follows at the number 3 spots. It's fresher.
And
It's
then what is your number 4 then?
it would be Overlook Hotel.
If it's between those 2, I can't put.
I do want to suggest. I want to state something here. One person in this room took a bullet and shot The Shining.
Yes,
That one.
I know it was
That
me.
one.
Mhm.
I know it was me.
There may be some bias there. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
The difference is I'm fully open with my bias. Oh man,
Like,
I don't like that Jigsaw's going to end up number 2 in this fucking list. I can't co-sign the Overlook being below It Follows.
Okay, so It Follows being number 4 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Now number 3.
Jigsaw could fall to this.
I say Jigsaw for number 3.
I would like that as well. But I realize that it is high on 2 people's list, and they are the 2 that.
Well, Hannibal's going to probably end up being number 1. I mean, obviously.
I've already spoiled it
Yeah.
like 2 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
it's
saying, but yeah.
hard to argue.
I
that.
don't see Hannibal not being number
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So number 3 though.
I don't want to put Jigsaw underneath Overlook Hotel, and Overlook Hotel needed Jack Torrance. It needed one of the greatest American actors of all time to commit its crimes in the present.
Ethan, what do you think?
I will go with personal bias. Personal bias.
What is
Buy-ins?
What is pastoral bias? Are you stroking?
Yes, I am.
Oh
Apparently
no!
we're all just continually stroking.
Everybody get your toast out.
See, my thing is Overlook Hotel. The Overlook Hotel is using multiple people in order to influencing multiple people, trying to having them commit.
It's an
heinous
evil
acts.
supernatural presence,
Yes.
much like in It Follows.
Mm-hmm.
However, John Kramer is only one man.
Using
And-
like 18 apprentices.
But when I think of the Jigsaw killer, it is
Even
John
in like the
Kramer.
first 3 movies, like he's got.
First one he has none. Second one he has 1. Now, if you go down the line further,
Yeah, the further it goes, the more
Then
like,
it's like
oh no, back
everybody's-
in this movie,
the
he
more
actually had like
disciples he
8
has,
people.
and to me, that's more along the lines.
No,
of,
he had more. Like he didn't have disciples necessarily, but in the first one, he even had other people that he was using to do the things because the weird dude with the
That
black
is-
eyes.
in
that is true,
retcon
yeah.
stories, retcon lator on.
But
Well, no, even that,
not
like,
even with retcon,
Michael,
just
like-
in that first movie.
yeah,
the
Michael Emerson.
weird-
Michael Emerson is basically like I don't know if he was necessarily even paid. He was just like, hey, you hate this doctor so much.
Yeah.
Like let's fuck with him, Zepp, because his
Yeah.
character's name was Zepp.
I don't know. Like most of the rest of this list, I'm not going to be completely happy with. Like I had to sacrifice a lot to get 2 of mine on the list.
Right. I feel your pain.
So now I just have to not. Now I just have to take the top 5 as it comes.
I prefer. Actually, let me look at this real quick. For the most part, I like horror with a personality. You can argue Jason Voorhees is just basically just a hockey mask and a maintenance suit, just going around chopping people up. But
That's why he didn't make it.
But for the most part, I like people. I like a personality. The Overlook Hotel is a concept, and it's not so much personified as it is embodied. So for me,
I feel
Not
like
to-
the Overlook Hotel has a personality, but again, I have bias in this. Also, the Overlook Hotel has a dude in a bear mask sucking a dude's dick, so there is that.
I mean,
or is that something that happened in the past that the Overlook just showed the boy?
Yeah,
What the
or
fuck?
is it?
I mean, of course, there's going to be some form of bias when it comes to like the ultimate.
Oh yeah, this entire thing
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
bias.
Yeah,
The whole thing is-
This is
So
bias.
it's-
The episode.
This whole thing is stating our biases and then running our biases into one another.
Yes.
I'll just I don't want us to stagnate too long on this, so I'll cave. I mean,
So Overlook.
I've kind of realized that it's whatever.
Overlook is number 3.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Jigsaw.
Jigsaw,
Number 1 is Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter.
All right.
Yeah.
I was actually concerned I was the only one who was going to say Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, really?
Just how long in
I
time
just- I
it's-
don't- I
it's in
don't.
that weird middle
Yeah.
period
It's
of
been
like
a long
it's
time.
not classic horror like Dracula and
It
everything
is
else,
for
and
some
it's not-
people.
and it's not the modern stuff.
It is classic.
It's
for
one
some
of the
people.
only horror movies to be like nominated for like Best Picture. I think it won Best. Did it won Ben? win Best
I don't
Picture?
remember.
Yes, it
Yes,
did.
it did.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, it came out in the same decade as Seven. I think they were like just a few years apart.
It's in the
from each other.
they were both in the 90s.
7 is, I think, like 3 to 5 years afterward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like Seven is
7
like
was like-
95, 96.
7 is David Fincher.
David
isn't it?
Fincher,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
7 is like 95.
There's a
96.
man that needs a fucking Oscar eventually. Don't you
Oh,
think?
David Fincher.
Yeah, David Fincher should have. an
Yeah,
Oscar.
he's really
damn
trying,
it.
but
Silence of the Lambs like what, 91?
91. That was
yeah,
Brian
it's
De Palma.
early.
It was one of the De
Brian,
Palmas.
it's
Was
I
it
think
Brian
it's De Palma. No, I don't think it's a super well known guy.
I could swear it was Brian De Palma.
It wasn't Brian Yunza. I'll tell you that right now.
We maybe just cut out the gaps in this as he finds out.
Yeah,
which,
that's
who
Yeah, we
understandable.
kinda need to find this out.
It's all good.
Yeah. No, it's no, because this is bothering me because that won Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Movie.
Yeah, Jodie Foster just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, her performance kind of gets,
And then she
Carrie
made
Mo-
Nell.
and then she made Nell.
Jonathan Demme.
Jonathan Demme. Okay, no, you're
Demme,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he also did Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Adaptation. No, he's a producer in Adaptation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Philadelphia. That's a movie I need to watch.
Yeah, if you want to like be very, very sad.
Yeah, I've actually never watched that. I don't watch very many. What's his fucking name? The writer guy.
I know who you're talking about.
John Grisham.
John
I don't
Grisham.
watch too much John
Yeah.
Grisham stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think John Grisham did Philadelphia.
I think he had something to do with it, didn't he?
You might have. I mean, it's courtroom drama, basically. So,
I don't think so.
I mean,
Oh, he did the newer Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like Jonathan Demme.
That the original classic
Beloved.
one of Frank Sinatra is fucking good too.
And Angela Lansbury being like the coldest, iced-hearted bitch ever.
Dude, that's a hardcore fucking thriller movie made in the mid '60s.
If
Yeah.
you only knew Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote, and then found out about
Right.
Manchurian Candidate,
Right.
your brain would hurt.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well, but as he's finding out more information, Jody, if you would, please announce to the passengers around the world the top 5 incontrovertible, unarguable list of horror movie villains of all time.
Number 5, we have Freddy Krueger. Number 4, we have the Entity in It Follows. Number 3, we have the Supernatural Overlook Hotel. Number 2, we have, I can't read because the light is blinking.
Six letters
Yeah.
rhymes with it rhymes with
Right.
Jigsaw.
I'm having epilepsy from the fucking lights.
No, you're stroking. Oh no.
Jigsaw, specifically whatever the guy's name is.
John Kramer.
John Kramer.
John Kramer.
And number 1 of all time is Hannibal.
Bendo?
Lecter.
The Cannibal.
Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter.
Were you channeling Hannibal Lecter when you were being bent over?
Yeah, that's going to be really nice for people to listen to if they have headphones in. I love mouth noises when I listen to podcasts.
Some car stereos might fuck up. You never know.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine somebody with a cranked up bass in their fucking trunk and there's
Yeah.
like
Oh, let's do it again.
Fuck's wrong with my
Just,
car?
we're losing
Who's
people
listening
as
to
we're
porn?
recording this.
no, it's just like they have the super bass on, so every time that happens, it's like thump, 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 thump. Like it's fucking gonna break through the fucking bottom of their car. Oh my god.
Well,
This is a solid list. I'm not completely happy with it, but it's not the worst list.
I'm happy with the number 1, so I'm good.
I am okay with it.
I'm content with at least Jigsaw being in there.
I wish the Phantom from Phantom of the Paradise had been on there. Where was it, Jody? Where was he?
Well, that's because the Phantom of the Paradise is not the villain in that movie, Jay.
You want to watch that next week?
I mean, yeah, let's do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, then next week with the young boy and unable to be here, so it's just gonna be 3 old farts
Yep,
talking.
I'll miss y'all.
No, we need to wait until Ethan can be here.
Sure.
To make him, because if I gotta watch this fucking movie, he's gotta watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, you're not getting away from this one, kid.
Yeah.
You're watching this
Ethan
fucking.
Brady just used you as a shield.
We're gonna Clockwork Orange this motherfucker. Like he's gonna.
My dude, why'd you have to bring me down? Come on.
What? Look
Look at it this
How
way.
did you expect any less?
Look at it this way, Ethan. Do you like the Muppets? Do you like the original Muppet movies?
yeah.
Do you like the music from the original Muppet movies?
Yeah,
Well, the
it
same
was-
guy that made that music for the Muppet movies made the music for this movie, and he's
cool,
also
sick.
starring in it.
Oh, sick.
Paul Williams.
Ah, sick. I'm gonna love this movie. Though.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
are.
So we're gonna have to wait on that because
It is bookshelved.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to talk about the punk stuff next week?
Oh yeah, we want to do that next week.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can do diesel punk / steampunk / splatterpunk /
insert punk.
yeah.
We're calling
Yeah.
it X-Punk,
X-Punk.
where X equals anything, pretty much.
Punk in a genre usually just like narrows down the genre into almost like a subgenre to give you like you hear the name steampunk and you automatically think Edwardian or Victorian settings. Diesel punk, Mad Max, and things like
A
that.
little bit forward.
Yeah,
You have
so
Aura, you have Aura Punk.
right. Mm-hmm. And so, so that's the episode. If you like listening to us, listen to us again next week. Also, if you like listening to other shows about other things that are not things we talk about, you should check out Fearology. It's a horror podcast I host
Motherfucker
by
got
myself.
3 plugs in.
The man's the host; he can do that. If I had 3 podcasts, I'd be podcasting.
The newest episode is called Renfield and Friends, where I discuss the character as a whole, along with how I think.
I expect a long diatribe of Renfield from Dracula Dead and Loving It. I will be disappointed.
No Leslie Nielsen. I will be also talking about how I think that the new direction that Universal is taking their original horror movie franchise in currently.
Yeah.
Which is
I asked
something.
for a quick spoiler. I feel that they're doing a good job with it. What do you think?
I think after failing multiple times via the Tom Cruise Mummy movie,
Yeah, the Dark Universe.
it's not good.
Trying to be Marvel, but with Universal monsters.
People
want
to just look. I'm tired of superheroes. I know everybody
Yeah.
else in this room is tired of superheroes. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I just want to have a fun time. I'll give you $15 if you make Nick Cage dress up in a cape and just go, I'm Dracula for an hour and a half.
Give me at least an interesting concept. Take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Stop being so goddamn risk averse.
An STD monster.
They are remaking a live action Moana.
Yes.
Moana isn't 10 years old, and they are remaking it as a live action.
There's still consideration that The Rock won't replay his character.
From what I heard, the whole reason they're making it is because he came in and said, "Hey, basically, I fucked up with DC. I got to do something.
Yo,
let's
Disney, let
let's
me hit you
remake
up real fast.
Moana. I'll be in it."
I know they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, like
I'm
just
over all of
the
that.
moral, like the creative bankruptcy is really a problem. Like, but what they're doing with things like the new Invisible Man is cool.
Well, then even with reusing old reusing old titles and licensing stuff, I have to give credit to Universal. I enjoyed Super Mario Brothers thoroughly. From what, like, I see a smile on your face about Renfield. That's how I know. Like that doesn't crack very often until it's something very good.
Right.
Yeah, well, my argument is like you
Cocaine Bear was just fun.
you can
It was
use old properties, but like
Also,
do something different.
You
with
don't
them.
have to spend $300 million on a movie and it flop and almost cost your studio. You can spend $20-30 million on a low budget movie, which is crazy that's what a low budget movie is nowadays. You can spend under $50 million, including marketing, and do okay. Now, I've heard Renfield's not making any money right now, but maybe word of mouth might change that.
maybe.
Mario Brothers is making a ridiculous.
Oh, I'm
amount of
sure
money.
Mario
Which means
Brothers
we're gonna get
is
18
making
of
them
them.
all the money.
An unexpected ridiculous amount.
Well,
of
I'm
money.
sure they're shoveling some of that money towards Nintendo as well.
Yeah.
I am calling it. They're going to make a Smash Brothers movie in about 15 years.
I don't know. They're going to wait that
like,
long,
A
but that's impossible.
side plot of Super Mario Brothers 4 will probably be Smash
The
Brothers.
problem
Like
with Smash
Master Hand
Brothers,
just comes down and
the
grabs
problem with
Mario.
Well, I
the
mean, they did Mario Kart. They did the
Yeah.
Rainbow
the
Road.
problem with Smash Brothers though is unless Universal through their subsidiaries fucking butchered the fuck out of that word. Subsidiaries owns some of the characters that are portrayed in Smash Brothers, that won't happen. there are characters that were in the awful Steven Spielberg movie, Whatchamadoodle and the
Ready Player
Whatchamadoodle.
One.
Yeah, that one. They didn't use the characters that were in the book. They couldn't. But the movie studio owned characters that you saw on screen.
Well, and also specifically the Disney characters.
Right.
Yeah. The Disney characters.
Disney characters aren't going to be on there. Capcom characters, Konami characters, none of that's going to be. The Super Smash Brothers movie is never going to happen. Too much licensing.
Well, like I said, it's going to be like a side plot or basically what they do now with a lot of these movies is it's flashcards. It's, hey, remember this. Hey, remember this.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. Like I know you liked the Super Mario Brother movie and you had fun and everything. I have no interest in it because I feel like it's just flashcards. It's, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this. So but again, like if you like the movie, that's fine. Like you can like a movie, it's okay. But I feel like that's what they're gonna do with this. It's gonna be there's gonna be a reference because they can still use all of the Super Mario characters and fucking do a Smash Brothers thing.
My thing about a Smash Brothers thing is that if you wanted to legitimately do that, that's literally Infinity Wars. That's the Nintendo extended universe.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We've had enough.
Like I
of
said,
that.
it's gonna be like a reference. But like shit like that is coming because what they're doing with a lot of these is, hey, remember this. Hey, remember this. Like it's gonna happen eventually. Even if it's just like when they just use the fucking carts to do something.
Right.
Like they figure out a way. But like that's. Another time, another
show.
we're trying to close out the show.
Right.
We just keep starting
Purology.
out.
It's on Spotify.
4 plugs. 4 fucking plugs with this shit.
It's on Apple, Google Play, and Amazon Music. Ethan, tell us about a podcast that's not the completed podcast starring Chris Vega.
Wait, hang on. I want to interrupt with something.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like if
No, let him do that because I don't remember any
I
of
don't
the
either. I'm
details of
joking.
that
I
I
one.
do want to interrupt with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and say I want everybody to check out Fearology.
Are all the plugs just going to be Fearology and then we're going to say goodbye?
That's all it is.
It all depends on what Ethan says next.
Okay, so one of our closest friends, what's his name?
Our closest friends.
closest
One of our
friend.
closest. Oh yeah, Jody Kite. He has a podcast.
Oh my God! Can we not? Can we not? Chris Vega and his friends that I can't remember
Love
their names.
Fearology.
Host a completed podcast. It's a podcast about Magic the Gathering and all their experiences with tournaments and adventures up and down the roads of the lore road that is Magic the Gathering, created by Richard Garfield in 1992. Check it out. They're on all the platforms. Whiskey and Wrestling.
No, Whiskey and Wrestling is
There we
a
go.
podcast that Jody Kite from Fearology sometimes guests on. And does his damnedest to relate to this week's wrestling to horror movies and shit.
Do you like countouts? Do you like your show ending on a countout?
Oh man,
I'm the Britt Baker of the show tonight. She showed up twice.
But in all seriousness, Michael Hill, soon to be what's
Mrs.
Caitlin's
Michael
last name? Mrs.
Slife.
Caitlin. Mrs. Caitlin Fife.
Michael Slife and
Slife.
Caitlin Hill. They're gonna just swap names.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do. That's actually an interesting way to do it. Yeah, they talk about wrestling and get drunk because God, wrestling is a whole thing right now. So check them out everywhere that podcasts are. Yeah.
All right. Silence the Cell Phones. Our good friends Jared Hubbard and Kevin Shelton. Surprisingly, a podcast that Jody Kite has not appeared on. Mm-hmm. They talk about movies and TV shows. Yet, yes.
And they haven't been on Fearology either.
What you should and should not be watching. They have a weekly YouTube show whenever they feel like it, live. They're on all the platforms. Again, that's Silence Your Cell Phones.
And I kind of want to just head out. Is it okay, Jody?
Okay to head out.
Is it okay we just head out?
What about Kevin? What about Kevin Gallo?
It's Kevin Gallo,
Ronan Rooster,
aka Kevin Gallo on YouTube.
aka Kevin Gallo.
Yeah, they bring you. And finally, last week they were finally back. Not last week, but last night they were live with another exciting version of Cyberpunk Red from the dark future of Cyberpunk Red. And hopefully next week we'll get back into Poker Roll, which is the unofficial Pokemon podcast. Again, every Tuesday. That is Kevin Gallo, aka Ronan Rooster on Twitch and Kevin Gallo on YouTube. VOD's up on YouTube after the show goes live.
And we would like to thank Cameron Spaniard, the sole owner and proprietary
And God!
of McNarb
God
Gaming.
Emperor.
Yes.
McNarb Gaming.
Where we record Fearology, a
We
podcast on
record
fear.
all the episodes of all the shows you've just heard us mention just now.
Except the completed podcast and not Silence Yourself.
Silence yourself.
Right, yeah.
But
that's
three
very
times more for 3 Fearology.
That's very true. Yeah, we haven't recorded a couple of Fearology, well, at least one.
Yes.
McNarb Gaming, where you can buy sleeves. They have a lot of them. In fact, they have every sleeve you could probably.
You do need something of card dimensions sleeved, even larger than card dimensions. They have that.
You want to sleeve a board game?
Get out your tape measure.
You want to sleeve the whole board for the board game?
Yeah, measure your cards or your placemats or your player boards or whatever the fuck you need.
Or maybe even a player.
Yes.
Those sleeves will probably fit.
Yes.
We have body bags at McNarb Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi.
March of the Machines is this weekend, which is the new Magic the Gathering set.
Cool.
Also, Thursdays, we're trying to get an Age of Sigmar crew got together to start playing Age of Sigmar, if you know what that is. So
Yeah, if you want to come up here, bring your army and we'll sit around and talk until 10 o'clock and then we'll decide, oh, shit, it's too late.
I kept trying to force y'all to beat the shit out of John's stuff. And then what ended up happening is we had Ethan plays John's stuff.
I used John's stuff.
And he won with John's stuff. What the fuck?
Which was pretty funny because like you were not using half of the shit that your army probably could have done.
Oh yeah, no, there were he had like he could have had like 9 more war pigs.
Yeah, no.
Generals in their masses.
Well,
just
you know how
like
that's a good-
witches at black masses.
We're about to get copyright struck.
by T-Pain.
Yeah, I was about to say T-Pain has a really good cover of that.
Please listen to that.
Oh.
No. Listen to it.
okay.
Listen to it.
Okay.
Like it's actually.
there's no facetiousness.
Okay.
That
Like,
all right.
T-Pain gets a lot of shit, but he's actually a good singer.
Oh yeah, I seen the Masked
he won
Singer,
Masked Singer,
season
yes.
1.
He just does the auto. He just did the auto tune in the past
Because
because
it was
he
a
just
gimmick.
wanted to do that.
It was a gimmick that was happening. It was hot,
He's
right?
actually a good singer, and he does like War Pigs. You're like, oh shit, what the fuck? How is T-Pain doing this song so
Wait,
good?
where's the auto-tune? I don't hear it.
Yeah.
Well, for Travels on the Omnibus and Fearology, I've been Jody Kite.
I've been Ethan Skinner.
I've been James Fearology McCarthy. I'm trying to sneak it in as many
Jesus
times as I can.
I've been Brady Davis. Sleep Token just released a new song today, so go
Called
listen.
Fearology.
Yes, Fearology by Jody Kite. Look it up on YouTube. Yeah.
Be more nerd.
Be more Fearology.
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 Fearology.